What's up, everyone? This is the Retro Gamer Ranting, and welcome to another video game Underdogs review. Now, I wasn't quite sure how I was going to review 8-Bit Boy, a game by Awesome Blade, an indie game, that is. My first problem with it was a lot of people were going to see 8-Bit Boy and think, essentially, it's a Super Mario Brothers clone, and then dismiss it. My second problem is, those people are right. 8-Bit Boy is a Mario clone, or in this case, I like to call it a tribute to older Super Mario games. And that's why I'm lumping this into my Underdogs review, because I think people don't really give these games the proper chance they deserve. Why is that? Because of the clone aspect of it. They're just trying to cash in on people's nostalgia, and in some cases, that's completely right. In other cases, I don't think it's fair, because there's a difference between a game being a clone, just trying to cash in and make some quick buck on people's fond memories, and the case where games are being made as a tribute to those past games just because the developers truly did enjoy them and wanted to basically show that enjoyment by making a homage to the game itself. And in this case, I think they're doing a pretty darn good job. To start things off, we get an intro that is quite realistic. And I don't necessarily mean graphics-wise, but, well, let's just jump into it. You play as a 30-something, possibly college dropout, sitting around pondering about what to do with his life. You have no job, you have no motivation, and you sit there and yearn for the days of yore when you used to sit and play video games all day long. You end up going downstairs in your basement to look for your old console that you remember those fond memories when you were a kid. And lo and behold, you do find it. All dusty and all the cartridges scattered and moldy. But all of a sudden, you find a brand new cart. And wouldn't you know it, you're stupid enough to put it in the console and turn it on. And hey, you've been zapped into the video game world. And that's the gist of the story. It's basically saying this game is for nostalgia reasons, and we know it, and so why don't we just say it in our storyline? We all want to be kids again, sitting on the weekend, all hours of the night, trying to play through the levels of Super Mario Brothers. And you know what? I kind of respect that. No BS, here's the story. A bit darkish, I suppose, considering you jump into a very cutesy and bright, exuberant world after starting off with a very kind of dark story. Anyway, moving on, you're immediately dropped into this colorful world with 16-bit pixel graphics. It's not 8-Bit Boy, it's 16-Bit Boy. Seriously, would it have been too hard to change that? And you immediately notice what your main enemy is. It's birds that are angry. Angry birds, I guess you could say? No, not those kind. No, not those either. These. Yeah, I don't really get what's going on with the trend of angry birds or upset birds or mildly annoyed birds in video games lately. I'm just kind of hoping the developer just put this in as an in-joke, but considering about 90% of the enemies in this game are bird-related, in fact, even the bosses in this game are, you guessed it, giant angry birds. Sure, you got other enemies like snakes and bats, but mostly it's birds. Hey, if it was meant as a joke, get it, I guess? From there, you get your typical Mario-like platforming. You'll instantly recognize everything. You have the usual blocks that you can jump up and bust with your fist, sometimes revealing coins, which, of course, you can collect up to 100 for and get an extra life. Power-ups that are gotten off of, well, fruit instead of flowers this time. And you have your usual pitfalls and your ability to kill enemies by usually stomping on them or shooting them with said power-up. And there's secret areas that you can try and find, bosses in different worlds, your usual grassland-like worlds, desert worlds, ice worlds, and etc. It goes through the entire gamut. It has some pretty catchy music, but nothing too memorable, and, well, it's a Mario tribute. What do you expect? it does have a very retro difficulty to it. There is an easy mode and a hardcore mode, where the easy mode will save your progress when you start every new level. In hardcore mode, you have to find secret coins in order to save your progress. Levels are actually pretty challenging and frustrating at times, but not too cheap, except for those bosses I was telling you about. Now, here's the point. People are going to start saying everything you explain to me is just plain old Mario. Why should I care? It's because the developer cares. You see, this game was actually on Steam Greenlight. I know, because I actually voted for this game, and I was happy to see that it made it to the Steam store. And once it got released, the developer has constantly been listening to fans and updating the game as needed, therefore trying to make a better game, or a better Mario tribute for that matter. See, originally when I bought this game, there was a lot missing. You couldn't run jump, certain power-ups weren't quite as interesting, but since then, the developer's been listening to the fans, adding power-ups, adding new special effects, adding new enemy animations, music, secret levels, and of course adding the very much needed run jump mechanism. And you know what? I gotta applaud that. It's great to see, especially when it comes to Steam Greenlight games, a developer listen long after the game's been released. There's all too many times where something gets put on Steam Greenlight, gets released on the Steam store, and the developers all but abandon it because, hey, at least I made it to the big league, why should I care anymore? But in this case, that didn't happen. And that's pretty awesome in my opinion. I mean, this may be a tribute game, but the developer genuinely cares about trying to make the best platformer he can, and does so by listening to the concerns of the people who are playing the game. And even though this wasn't an early access game, he still takes everything into account. And because of that, it eventually makes this game have its own identity, even though it has the strong Mario influences. And I believe something like that should be applauded and take a look at. Is it a perfect platformer? No. Is it a Mario clone? Yes, I guess you can do that, but at the same time, it's trying to be its own game. It's trying to go, hey, when I was a kid, I loved Mario too. This is my tribute to it, but I also want it to be something special. These are my levels, this is my story, and hey, I want you to come with me and relive your childhood with my game, and hopefully enjoy it in its own right so that it can go alongside some of the platforming greats. Or at the very least, just enjoy it as it is and say, hey, you know what, that brought back some great memories in its own right. So sometimes it's not worth just staring at what you may consider to be a Mario clone and just passing it off and going, well, I could just go play Super Mario. Sometimes it's a little bit more than that. It's a passion project, especially when you know the developer's putting their heart and soul into it. And I think that warrants a look. So maybe all you clone haters out there might start thinking a little differently. And instead of thinking, oh, that's just another clone, think, well, maybe it's a tribute. I know not all games out there deserve this kind of treatment, but in this case, I admire the developer's tenacity and the fact that he's still trying to make the best platformer he can, even though a lot of people might just lump it into, oh, that's a clone category. So, give it a try. Thanks for listening to this video game Underdogs review, and maybe we learned something here. As always, folks, if you did enjoy this Underdogs review, please share it with your friends, and make sure to leave a comment down below. It puts a big smile on my face because I know I'm entertaining you. Until next time, game fans, keep playing, and thanks for watching. Hi everyone, thanks for checking out my video game Underdog review of 8-Bit Boy. And if you liked this, please click the links below for more awesome videos made by me. Also, don't forget to follow me on Google Plus and Twitter. And if you haven't yet, there's a little subscribe button that might be tempting for you to press. Just, you know, subliminal messaging that's not so. Thanks everyone. Till next time, keep playing.